SDGs, as well as the launch of the 2023 Global Top 100 call. I'm particularly delighted to welcome the president of the ECOSOC, Ambassador Lachezara Stoeva. I hope she's with us already. And of course, the Minister of Higher Education, Science and Innovation of the Republic of Slovenia, Dr. Igor Papić. Hope he's with us as well. Let me just very briefly say that while the 2030 agenda for the sustainable development is our guidebook and often an important yardstick of the progress itself has, however, been slow. We need to do everything we can to accelerate the progress and the implementation of the SDGs. This is why we also need to deepen the cooperation and share the experience within the global community. Establishment of the International Research Center of the on the Artificial Intelligence, IRCAI, in Ljubljana, Slovenia, under the auspices of UNESCO, dedicated to the support for the development of the artificial intelligence-based solutions to achieve SDGs, and to promotion of responsible human-centered and human rights-based AI was a step in this direction. Innovative projects to be presented today showcase that AI can be one of the transformative technologies to help achieve the SDGs due to its impact in cross-cutting areas such as global productivity, equality and inclusion, as well as environmental outcomes. In particular, we mean on the SDG 6 on clean water and sanitation. The STI forum itself is the space to share knowledge and showcase many innovations that have potential to be scaled up and shared across regions. Notably, as several speakers have pointed out yesterday, when it comes to the application of the AI for the implementation of the SDGs implementation itself. It is, however, absolutely crucial to ensure equal access and support to the developing countries in using AI for the sustainable development. Ladies and gentlemen, to make progress and to take immediate action, cooperation at the international level among key stakeholders who bring their knowledge, experience, and solutions to the table is really key. Therefore, projects such as IRCAI Global Top 100 prove that there are opportunities that go beyond dialogue and advocacy. I look forward to the exchange and learning about the specific projects at today's event, as well as I wish all of us a successful continuation and conclusion of the STI forum. And back to you. Thank you, Davor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador. So my name is Davor, and I will be your MC for today. And together with Jorge in the next second part with the Q&A. And if you hear some screams in the back, that's my 4-year-old friend, Teddy. So never mind him. Our team at IRCAI is comprised of myself at the moment in Cape Town, Michaela Crnko in Ljubljana, Benjamin in Brussels, Jorge in France, Massimo in Manchester, and our director, John, in London, as well as our Minister Papić, who is at the moment in New York. So as you can see, Slovenians are everywhere except in Slovenia. So just joking about that. Mr. Minister, please do come forward. Igor Papić, he's the Minister of Higher Education, Science and Innovation. And we're very much happy that you're with us.
Yeah. Thank you, Davor. Hope we hear each other very well. Yes, that's right. I'm in New York as well, directly from my hotel room. So regards from the USA. So dear esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, today allow me to share my thoughts on the potential of trustworthy artificial intelligence to help solve the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, and why a partnership with universities and businesses for innovation is needed. The SDGs represent an ambitious plan to achieve a sustainable future for all, addressing challenges such as poverty, hunger, education, health, and climate change. AI can be a powerful tool to support these goals by enabling more efficient and effective decision-making, predicting and mitigating risks, optimizing resource allocation, and supporting innovation and entrepreneurship. However, to harness the full potential of AI for the SDGs, it is essential to ensure that it is used in a way that is ethical, responsible, and beneficial for society as a whole. This is where trustworthy AI comes in, which is AI that is transparent, accountable, fair, and secure. What IRCAI will provide us with today is evidence of real-life actions. We will go through 10 outstanding projects, knowing that the portfolio already accounts for 2 groups with more than 200 projects from all over the world. I'm especially excited to see the ones dealing with water, as Slovenia has succeeded in getting 150 countries to support its proposal for the appointment of a UN Special Envoy for Water. This is, of course, great success for Slovenian diplomacy and indeed all member states. Moreover, AI can enable businesses to make better decisions based on data and analytics, leading to more informed and effective strategies for sustainable development. For instance, AI-powered predictive analytics can help businesses to identify and mitigate environmental risks, such as water scarcity or deforestation, before they actually cause significant damage. In conclusion, we have an opportunity to exploit the power of trustworthy AI to support the SDGs, create a more sustainable and equitable world, and contribute to the economy and business in the space of sustainable development. I urge you and, of course, all partners to support the IRCAI's top 100 list in the future to increase evidence of usefulness of AI in reaching the SDGs. And finally, I would somehow urge you to join Slovenia in the Nexus partnership between universities, businesses, and governments to make this happen. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Minister. As you know, IRCAI is a UNESCO Center in AI, and we're very, very happy to have Assistant Director General for Communications and Information, Mr. Tawfik Jelassi. And if you can step forward and share with us a bit of your time. Thank you very much, Mr. Jelassi.
Thank you very much. Good morning from New York City as well. And I should warn you that there may be some background noise because I'm at an event that is about to start. Minister Igor Papic, Ambassador Kostian Malover, Ambassador at Large Tanya Mishkova, Professor John Shaw Taylor, a long-standing partner of UNESCO and director of IRCAI, dear colleagues and friends. This is my second intervention this week in the Forum on Science, Technology and Innovation for the SDGs after my presentation a couple of days ago in the AI for the Planet session. I'm delighted to join you this morning for the release of the Global Top 100 AI Solutions for the Sustainable Development Goals, as identified by IRCAI, a Category 2 center under the auspices of UNESCO. AI advances have clearly challenged our ideas of the state of the art and what is possible with the use of such powerful technology. Technologies like ChatGPT have captured the public imagination over the past few months. As you know, in just a couple of months since its launch, ChatGPT had over 100 million users. The public started envisioning what the future could hold for all of us. The new awareness is also creating anxieties about the risks associated with the lack of privacy protection in how some of these tools are used and exacerbate discrimination against some social groups. At the same time, AI offers new perspectives for achieving the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and we at UNESCO are exploring the impact and opportunities of AI for education, science, culture, information, and communication. Today, more than ever, we need concrete use cases and examples of what we can leverage and how we can leverage AI to address issues ranging from climate change to education, online disinformation, misinformation, and the preservation of biodiversity. In this regard, I would like to commend IRCAI for putting the spotlight on these 100 solutions coming from Africa, Asia, Europe, Latin America, the Caribbean, North America, and Oceania. In line with the UNESCO recommendation on the ethics of artificial intelligence, which, as you may know, was adopted in November 2021 by 193 member states, and with the support of others, this year's top 100 solutions call had a strengthened screening criteria that gave more weight to ethical issues like transparency, explainability, accountability with respect to the development and use of these solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, we have deep-rooted gender inequality in the technology sector. UNESCO research has shown that women represent globally only 29% of R&D positions in science and are already 25% less likely than men to know how to leverage digital technology for basic uses. I therefore welcome the enhanced criteria on gender equality for this year's edition of IRCAI Top 100. We need to encourage and support more women and girls to become developers, designers, users, and leaders in the technology sector. I'm very excited to see the diversity of solutions that have been selected, from Afrocentric natural language processing to the use of AI for monitoring whales and climate finance accounting via artificial intelligence. I congratulate all the initiatives for their efforts and hope that with the encouragement and support from IRCAI, they will continue to implement their solutions in an ethical and a human-centered manner. Before concluding, I would also like to underline that as we see from the multitude of AI solutions identified in this call, there is enormous potential to leverage technology for good causes. We must, however, also be mindful of the digital and knowledge divides that exist between and within countries. Ensuring access to AI technologies for all, regardless of their socioeconomic background or location, is crucial for leveraging the potential of AI to accelerate progress towards achieving the SDGs. It is equally important that governments are prepared to both use these technologies, but also to govern their risks. Therefore, capacity building remains an important challenge. UNESCO has developed programs for the capacity building of public administration and justice system on creating an enabling environment for digital transformation. I would invite public institutions to work with us on strengthening their capacities to leverage technologies like AI through our competency framework on AI and digital transformation for governments, or through our recent MOOC entitled AI and the Rule of Law, very much fit for judiciary operators. Finally, I would like to say that the global top 100 international list of AI solutions in SDGs is an inspiring testament to the power of AI in addressing global challenges. By fostering collaboration, encouraging human rights-based and ethical innovation, we can together harness the full potential of AI to contribute to the achievement of the SDGs. I congratulate once again IRCAI and the government of Slovenia for spearheading this important initiative, and I wish you all a successful and inspiring event.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jelassi. Again, very inspiring, wide thinking. Thank you very much. The next speaker is Mrs. Tanja Miškova from the Ministry of Foreign and European Affairs of the Republic of Slovenia, and she will probably zoom in specifically on the, should I say, SDG 6 or the theme in terms of water.
Yes, Davor, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, excellencies. Recently, an important event was held in New York. This was the second UN Water Conference, and the first one took place almost 50 years ago, 50. So this time gap is shocking, given the immense challenges related to water, which are increasing, and including the fact that we are way behind in achieving SDG 6 on access to clean water and sanitation. SDG 6 underpins almost all other SDGs, which means that Agenda 2030 is unattainable without it. Although Slovenia is a water-rich country, we are acutely aware of the consequences of not addressing the global water challenges in time. We have therefore strongly engaged on water and water diplomacy and transboundary water cooperation, supported by our excellent science and research. Science, data, and technology form the foundations of a well-informed, evidence-based policymaking, including in water diplomacy and environmental peacebuilding. Increasingly sophisticated high-tech solutions, such as the use of remote sensing, satellite imagery, and artificial intelligence, are being recognized, developed, and applied in the water sector. And Slovenia has supported and promoted the development and application of such solutions through our political dialogue, public diplomacy, and development cooperation. I'm aware of the many apprehensions about AI and the ongoing debates, but the IRCAI has, in its short time of operation, proven itself as a force of good, putting the AI in the service of SDGs by providing tailored, intelligent solutions, harnessing the value of data, and promoting greater information transparency and accountability. Data is one of the greatest challenges when it comes to water. Not only the lack of it or unwillingness to share it, but also the capacity to collect, analyze, and interpret data. And this is where IRCAI's Water Observatory brings the right tools to collect, process, analyze water data to automate reporting in accordance with the key frameworks of the UN. So Slovenia submitted the IRCAI Water Observatory as its commitment to the Water Action Agenda, which is the list of commitments announced at the mentioned UN Water Conference. When addressing the water-related challenges and ensuring sustainable use of water resources, innovation is key, because the immensity and the nature of challenges have outgrown the solutions applied so far. Innovation has since forever been the driver of progress, but only innovation that was successfully scaled. The innovations you will hear about today stand out for their potential to aid the attainment of SDGs, particularly SDG 6, as well as for their potential to be scaled up. So I hope that in a few years from now, we will be able to look back and say that these solutions were part of the process that led to a more water-secure world. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Miškova. Today is really about Slovenia, but it's also not about Slovenia. And it is about IRCAI, but it's also not about IRCAI. But it's all about the best practices that we see in using machine learning techniques, or AI, as we call it now, to reach the SDGs. And as Mrs. Miškova said, we're going to show you a couple of really good ones, really good examples. But before that, I would really like to welcome to the stage Mrs. Stoeva, who's the president of ECOSOC, ECOSOC being the Economic and Social Council. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon or good morning to everybody, depending on where you are. It is such a pleasure to be here with you today, and I thank particularly Ambassador Boštjan Malovrh and the International Research Center on Artificial Intelligence and UNESCO for bringing these events together. As you know, this year, 2023, marks the halfway point of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. And based on the current trajectory, we are not on track to achieve the goals. So the picture is not very positive. There is an urgent need for new innovations to accelerate the pace of change for sustainable transformation. Technology and artificial intelligence can be instrumental in doing so. Employed strategically, AI has the potential to increase resource efficiency, identify and predict issues, and promote social inclusion for vulnerable populations. Satellite technologies using machine-based learning can help monitor meteorological activities to support early warning systems in the face of climate change and increasing extreme weather events. These technologies can also support sustainable agriculture by monitoring weather patterns and rainfall to inform efficient resource use. AI-based mobile apps are helping farmers and fishers increase productivity sustainably while improving their livelihoods. While artificial intelligence holds immense potential to advance sustainability, it can also give rise to ethical and other concerns. AI-based technologies must support transparency in how data is collected, stored, and used to prevent data privacy issues. AI algorithms should be designed to recognize and address patterns of discrimination and sexism rather than reinforcing them. And you mentioned that IRCAI is working on gender equality as priority, so congratulations on that. Technology alone will not solve today's sustainability challenges. For example, new mobile apps in the field of education have helped supplement schooling, particularly during school closures, and we saw that very well during the pandemic. However, these technologies cannot replace the role of traditional teachers and classrooms. Sorry for the background note, it's a bit of New York. Teachers and classrooms, particularly for imparting competences, values, and the ability to filter information and recognize misinformation. Human creativity, shared values for sustainable and strategic design will be central to the successful deployment of AI of sustainability. Ladies and gentlemen, why the world is undergoing a fundamental technological shift, the United Nations system has an essential role to play to protect the interests of current and future generations. The UN Secretary General's proposed Global Digital Compact may contain some guidance on regulation of artificial intelligence to ensure that this is aligned with the shared global values. As President of the Council, I also note that importance of regulatory oversight and minimizing potential negative impact is, I also note the importance of regulatory oversight and minimizing potential negative impacts. The next annual meeting of the Internet Governance Forum will take place in Kyoto, Japan from 8th to 12th October this year, and emerging technologies, including artificial intelligence, will be high on that agenda. I count on UNESCO, the International Research Center on Artificial Intelligence, and the Tech Envoy, as well as the wider international community, to continue to work together to ensure that AI delivers for the SDGs. And I again thank you for organizing this event within the STI Forum. As you said, it is about Slovenia, but it's not about Slovenia. It's about sharing good practices, experiences, and finding solutions together for bringing us closer to the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you very much. We're moving on. I would encourage everyone to drop your questions in the Q&A box for the end of the event. We can assure you that your questions will be answered. If not during the call, then definitely we can try something on social media, but definitely we will answer those questions. And I also urge you to maybe to ask our high-level speakers as well. Don't be shy. We have one last introductory speech, and then we're going to kick off with the projects. I would like to invite you, John, our director, to have a few words. Thanks.
Thanks, Davor, and thank you to all of the speakers and contributors, Ambassador Malover, Minister Papic, Assistant Director General Jalasi, and Ambassador at Large Mishkova and Ambassador Stoeva. I'm really so grateful for your attendance and support for this event. So I will try to be brief. I just wanted to say a little bit about IRCAI, the International Research Center on Artificial Intelligence under the auspices of UNESCO. We're committed to promoting the ethical, human rights-based use of AI for the good of humanity. And we have contributed to the UNESCO recommendation on the ethics of AI that was already mentioned. And we see education about AI as a vital part of ensuring the ethical application of AI and guarding against its misuse. And in this sense, we see the widespread interest in ChatGPT by the general public actually as a very positive development. But we are also promoting the positive use of AI in addressing the very challenging sustainable development goals that have been set by the United Nations. And we believe that emphasizing this positive value of AI is vital in order to tackle many of the SDGs if we are to meet the 2030 goals. The fact that the SDGs have related key performance indicators or KPIs is an important enabler, making this agenda, I believe, realistic. We ourselves contribute research and systems development for policy and education, among other areas, but also see ourselves as catalysts to assist others in promoting their work in this area, and hence enabling new collaborations, new funding, and interchange of ideas. The Top 100 is aimed to achieve this objective, as is our recently established Global Network of Excellence, Nexus, already mentioned. It's a network for artificial intelligence and knowledge for sustainable development, and links sites interested in applying AI to the SDGs across the whole world. The Top 100 is running for its second year, and we're incredibly excited to see the breadth, reach, and maturity of projects that have been submitted. As already mentioned, the criteria have been improved, particularly in respect of the ethical and human-centric aspects of the AI involved, and this was done in collaboration with UNESCO. Today is an opportunity to celebrate some of the best submissions that hold out the promise of having far-reaching impact in one or more of the SDGs. And I would like to give my congratulations to all of the submitted projects, but especially to those that we will be highlighting today. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you very much. So we are finishing up this initial part of the event. The team would also like to give thanks to Matic, Burkels, to Tina Vuga, Lara Vihar, Sasha Jurecko, Veronika Stabe, Tanya Mishkova, who was also a speaker, and there's many, many more on the side of the both ministries, and also the United Nations Sweden office, and Gaspar Castel from the National Commission in Slovenia, and there's many, many more. And we thank you a lot, and thank you very much for being with us throughout this, not just the event, but the whole sort of like Top 100 initiative. My job now is finished, and I'm going to pass the word to Massimo, who is our chair of Business and Impact Council, and then Jorge Clark, who is the strategic advisor for the Global Top 100. And I'll give the word to Massimo, and then Jorge, you can move on with the projects. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Davor, and good afternoon, good morning to everyone. I just wanted to congratulate myself with the Top 100 projects of this year. What I see very interesting is that this cohort is completely in line with the last year one. I see a lot of strong solutions that are also aligned with the new tendencies and new directions of the AI for good sector in general. And as Council, Business Impact Council, we are now working with new organization, with new partnerships to strengthen this competition, to support further the companies and the research centers around the Top 100 competition. So in the next weeks or months, we will share these news coming from us, from the business ecosystems of IRCAI. And so I want also to tell you that if you think we can be helpful for you, for your growth as a company, as a project, we are, me and all the group of the board, happy to support you in this, and also let's stay in touch, and also I hope that we will be supporting you in the next months and years. So thanks for your attention, and enjoy this very interesting day. Thanks.
Thank you, Massimo, and thank you, Benjamin, for sharing the slides. Lovely. And I just would like to follow the lines of what just has been said until now, and especially from the appreciation point of view. I would like to say thank you to IRCAI for, in particular, for allowing me the opportunity of navigating through all these projects, in particular, the wonderful and very excellent projects that we are going to showcase in a few minutes. And also thanks to all the participants and representatives who have already shared their words. And more on maybe a personal point of view, I would like to say that navigating these projects give me hope, in the sense that it was for moments incredible to see how humans are able to think in something that is with the sole purpose of helping the rest of humanity. All this in the context of the Sustainable Development Goals, and from there start creating an idea, and this idea use artificial intelligence. And this is where we are now, in a moment where we, IRCAI, are going to showcase these projects that use artificial intelligence to contribute to the Sustainable Development Goals. So I would like to share some global thoughts from the report that soon will be available to all of you. First of all the Sustainable Development Goals were represented in this year cohort. From other point of view, and we are going to reach this direction, we have a lot of diversity. This diversity is represented, for example, in the 45 countries that participated in this year cohort, 22 more countries than last year. So we are seeing an improvement in this sense. Something even more interesting and also strongly related with the SDGs is that we have an increased participation from the Global South, in particular from Africa and Asia, with a 17% increase and 13% increase participation respectively. The ranking or the organization of the Global Top 100 is 10 outstanding projects, which are the one we are going to showcase in a few minutes, 20 excellent projects, 21 promising projects, and early stage projects. Again, in the direction of the diversity, something that I think has incredible value, especially when we look at other benchmark, was the women-led projects. The participation of women-led projects in this year call, where 35% of these are women-led projects. And this is a steady trend if we consider also women-led projects in last year. So from this year report, from all the projects that we arrived at, maybe two ideas that are essential that we could capture is, on one side, the diversity, something that I already mentioned to you. Diversity in terms of gender, diversity in terms of the SDG coverage, diversity in terms of country of origin, diversity in terms of region of application. It's important to pay attention in this sense because it's not the same having a solution that will be built in Mexico, for example, and that will only be applicable in Mexico, in contrast with a solution that could be built in Mexico, but apply it to whole Latin America or maybe even the world. Also, this diversity is represented in the technology used, in the reflection behind, in the science behind, in the data sets, the different projects use it, in the data sources, and in the artificial intelligence methods. We have supervised machine learning, unsupervised natural language process, and so on and so on. So it is a great manifestation of diversity, and diversity is something that it is always helpful to reduce bias, which link us to artificial intelligence ethics. Another very important point of this year cohort was transparency. Open source intelligence. Many of the proposed solutions are written in open source. They are willing to share their knowledge, to create this accountability process in a very open way in terms of data and in terms of the code. So this is an incredible step towards artificial intelligence ethics. This was especially valuable for us when we consider the SDG innovation framework built between IRCAI and UNESCO, and when we regard the UNESCO recommendation on the ethics of artificial intelligence. So I just want to start presenting this solution and invite all of you to read the report. The first solution we are going to present is researcher workspace. I want to make a parenthesis. The outstanding solution, all of them are outstanding. There is no ranking here. So the first outstanding solution we're going to show is researcher workspace. And please, Anita Scholl, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for that introduction. And hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me. So my name is Anita. I'm the CEO and co-founder of IRCAI. We are a cross-European startup. And what we are doing is that we're building, using artificial intelligence to what we call unlock human discovery. How you do that is, of course, done through science. In more specific, we're building what we call smart, not large language models that are good at what the large language models, such as ChatGPT, are not good at, which means tracking and sticking to scientific facts across millions of documents. We're using that for, ultimately our goal is that any individual that has a problem to solve that requires science, from climate change to secure water to education, will have every piece of scientific knowledge available at their fingertips. We have been working on language understanding of scientific text for the past 7 years, and our smart language models are scalable at the right price performance with the right electricity footprint. And in 2020, we were also among the top 10 competitors in the AI for Good X Prize. And what that means is that they vetted our technology, saying that what we're building is on the forefront of the field, as well as implemented in sound and robust ways. And we really appreciate a similar assessment here in this forum. Finally, we're building a viable business here. The current tool we're offering is called the Researcher Workspace, as mentioned. It is currently being launched, but it is already revenue generating. It's sold to corporate, governmental, and academic R&D teams, and we will be opening up a model for individuals as well. I only have 3 minutes, so I can't go into many use cases, but I want to mention 2 examples. There's a not-for-profit called Materium that are using our tools to unlock material science data from more than 50,000 articles on non-petrochemical plastics, like seaweed plastics, right? Incredibly powerful. Another example is CA has been using our tools to identify and bear with me here, new candidates for particles observed in space. And they've done that interdisciplinary by actually discovering kind of biology research that actually ended up unlocking their discovery for deep space research in astrochemistry. Only 3 minutes, so I don't have time to explain why and how, but it's super, super cool. Finally, we're funded by the EIC Accelerator for the next 2 years, and that uniquely positions us to be kind of the leading factuality at the core ethical player in the kind of race we're seeing right now in the kind of generative AGI space. So thank you very much, everyone, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the presentations.
Thank you to you, Anita. Excellent presentation. And once again, excellent project, excellent initiative. And let's go now. Well, another second small parenthesis. I invite you, we IRCAI invite all of you to drop your questions. We have a really packed session, not too much time, but we are looking forward to answer your questions later on. So please put your question in the Q&A, and just aside of the question, leave your email. In this way, we will be able to answer your questions maybe at the end in the Q&A session or later during the next week, for example. So now I would like to introduce another outstanding project, climate finance accounting via artificial intelligence. And so I would like to invite Anna Zdunsi. The floor is yours, Anna.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to speak and present our work. My name is Anna Zdunsi. I'm from the University of St. Gallen, and I presented a joint research with Malte Tützke and Florian Egli from ETH Zurich. And I'm going to speak about a central topic in climate negotiations, namely climate finance. And if you can go to the next slide. So what we mean with climate finance is that financial flows from developed country parties to developing country parties to assist them in mitigating climate change and adapting to the adverse effects. So already in 2009, the developed country parties decided and then reaffirmed with the Paris Agreement that by 2020, they want to jointly mobilize $100 billion per year for developing countries. And currently negotiations are ongoing for a new such goal from 2025 onwards. So if we look at the numbers from OECD, we find that this goal has not been reached, not in 2020, nor in 2021, but it's actually much less money that flows to developing countries. And even more importantly, even these numbers are contested. So recipient countries, NGOs, and academics have repeatedly criticized that these numbers seem to be too high, and they base their criticism on manual verification of the reporting. On the next slide, well, what we developed was a machine learning model, Climate Finance BERT, to evaluate development cooperation projects based on the text project descriptions. And we evaluate first whether they are actually relevant to climate change, and then second, and if so, to which area. For example, if a project speaks to solar energy or helps adaptation. We then use this model to classify 2.7 million bilateral development assistance projects from the OECD database to identify which projects and respective financial flows can be considered climate finance. Compared to manual verification, our model can thus analyze much more data, for example, over a longer time frame, and evaluate it very consistently. So I'm only going to show you a snapshot of our result, but on the next slide, you see that we identified about 80,000 projects as relevant for climate finance between 2000 and 2019, totaling in about $80 billion. That's the lines that you see on the left-hand side. What we also find is that climate finance indeed increased, with higher amounts going to mitigation, which is a lower panel. Yet these numbers are much lower than what countries self-report. That's the colored shaded areas in the back. And we find overall a very inconsistent reporting. Furthermore, and on the right-hand side, what we observe is very specific patterns on where the money flows, from which countries to which countries, and also for what. Importantly, our data and our model is openly available and can therefore not only be used by reporting or by contributing parties for verifying their own reporting, but also by recipient countries and civil society or academia to independently check the numbers. So our research hopes to bring transparency and hopefully contributes to a common understanding of the actual climate finance numbers. And we hope that this helps to create trust among the negotiating parties and deliver important information for the definition of the new goal. Thank you so much.
Thank you to you, and thanks so much also, Anna, for the presentation and for touching again this very relevant point of transparency and how your solution is open source. We can keep the flow with the outstanding projects then. And so now is the turn for artificial intelligence-based referral system for patients with diabetic retinopathy in Jalisco, Mexico. And I would like to introduce Mr. Eduardo Ulises Moya. Please, Eduardo, the floor is yours.
Actually, Mario will present this. Mario Arauz, Jorge. Go ahead, Mario, please.
Thank you, Ulises. Good morning to everyone. Thank you, International Research Center of Artificial Intelligence. Our project, Artificial Intelligence-Based Referral Systems for Patients with Diabetic Retinopathy in Jalisco. First of all, the sustainability impact. The value to society is huge. The diabetic retinopathy is one of the main causes of vision loss. In addition, 1 of 11 people need an annual age screening test. Regarding the impact magnitude, it is possible to increase the early diabetic retinopathy detection using the AI systems and then reduce the vision loss risk. Our mission is aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals and with the health problems of Latin America and the Caribbean. The environmental and social governance is based on ethical and responsible principles, and in efficiency, the AI model could reduce the patient reference times, and we tested our AI system with local patients. The AI models could help to scale up to millions of people. The AI research implementation. So we made responsible AI systems by design, combining quality assessment models and DR models according to the Mexican guidelines. And it is important to note that we publish more than 7 conference journals. We deploy our AI systems in a cloud serverless solution, and we are talking with national and international organizations to test it. And we already test our models on 1,054 patients, achieving very good performance. And in the business and ethics viability, can we move to the, okay. First, the AI governance, where people and AI work together to reduce their risk and prioritize, finally improve results. And the development monitoring to avoid data drift by AI systems in the continuous evaluation. And third, the ethical and responsible AI to reduce the bias and be in line with ethical principles. So that would be all, and thanks to all the team. Jalisco is the first government in Mexico to have a artificial intelligence unit within the government to research and make these kind of projects happen. Thank you.
Mario, thank you very much. Thank you also to Eduardo and all your collaborators. I insist again to the audience, please, if you have questions, write down your question in the Q&A chat. Myself, I have many questions. I would have liked to keep the discussion with each one of the presentators so far for each of the solutions, because I would like to know more. But we want to go until the end and leave the question for the Q&A sessions. So I insist once again, if you have any question, write it down in the Q&A and put your email aside. So we keep with the outstanding projects. This time, a beautiful project related with life underwater and how to capture CO2 emissions or protect a family of beings who are really, really good at doing this. Mobius, artificial intelligence for scalable and standardized whale monitoring. Emily Chari, please take the floor.
Thank you so much. I am Emily Chari-Tissier. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Whale Seeker that developed Mobius. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk to you today about our groundbreaking AI solution called Mobius, which is revolutionizing the way we monitor and protect whale populations. Whales play a vital role in the health of our oceans and the planet as a whole. A single whale can provide over $2 million in carbon sequestration services over its lifetime. However, whale populations are already under threat from human activities, and with maritime activity set to increase by up to 12 times by 2050, the risks are only getting worse. Current visual whale detection uses human eyes only, which is not scalable or standardized. The next slide, please. That's where Mobius comes in. Our proprietary AI-assisted system uses remote aerial imagery to detect whales, complementing human expertise and providing standardized and accurate data on whale populations. This technology is helping industries comply with regulatory or value-driven sustainability goals by mitigating impact on biodiversity and enabling governments to establish evidence-based policies and manage protected areas. Mobius is the first tool of its kind and is not currently available elsewhere in the marketplace. It standardizes the quality of annotations, reduces inaccuracies and variation related to human observer bias, and makes long-term and wide-ranging comparisons of data across environments and time possible. The next slide, please. Mobius has already been tested and scaled successfully in partnership with government agencies, culminating in a peer-reviewed journal article demonstrating Mobius achieves human expert-level accuracy 25 times faster than pure manual annotation. We currently are casting a wider net within the Canadian government, extending our services to international governmental organizations, global marine protected area groups, and groups monitoring strategic waterways and offshore energy. By standardizing aerial image annotation and reducing the time and cost of image processing, Mobius makes aerial imaging surveys a viable, scalable method for monitoring whale populations across vast and remote regions. This groundbreaking technology is directly addressing SDG 13 and 14 and has the potential to make a significant impact on the health of our oceans and the planet as a whole. Mobius is a value add to existing monitoring programs. It helps deliver quantifiable, auditable data for SDG and ESG reporting, blue carbon projects, and biodiversity monitoring. Whale Seeker is majority female owned and became the first B Corp certified company in the world to use AI in service of wildlife. We don't allow our tools to be used to skirt environmental laws or make whaling more efficient. These values and standards are especially meaningful assurances for our ethical AI goals. In conclusion, Mobius is paving the way for a more sustainable future by setting both technical and ethical standards. Let's continue to support innovative solutions like Mobius and work together to ensure that humans and whales can not only coexist, but thrive. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Emily. I know if the audience was aware of this, but whales make a huge contribution to the process of capturing CO2. And we can now keep the flow with the outstanding projects. This time we go to collective learning, human-machine collective intelligence at smart city scale. So Evangelos, we have you?
Yeah, I'm
perfect. Evangelos, please showcase your project.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Evangelos Pounaras from University of Leeds. The next slide, please. My project is Collective Learning, a novel decision support system to assist citizens make complex, sustainable choices. Long-standing problems in cities such as traffic jams, overcrowded parking spaces, or power blackouts can be tackled by collective learning. For instance, this is Olivia and Oscar. What is special on them? They are flexible and can coordinate how to consume energy to prevent power blackouts and use more renewable energy resources. They also coordinate in a fair way to experience equal energy comfort. What if we could automate and scale up this coordination capability to large communities? Collective learning can revolutionize coordination as demonstrated by several proof of concepts, from load balancing of bike sharing stations to charging control of electric vehicles and low energy traffic routing. The next slide, please. Collective learning and its software implementation, EPOS, is a decentralized optimization algorithm, an algorithm that learns to coordinate human choices. It optimizes for nonlinear cost functions under soft and hard constraints. This means, in simple words, that we can meet ambitious net zero targets. Compared to mainstream AI solutions, collective learning comes in stark contrast and significant innovations. It's unsupervised and does not rely on trusted third parties. It's also privacy preserving and scalable while remaining resilient under failures. Compared to state-of-the-art, collective learning has superior cost effectiveness. And this is a result of well-grounded and ongoing research that me, my students, and my collaborators have led the last years. Next slide, please. And sustainability is built in the design of collective learning. Any involved cost of the optimization is shared fairly among the individuals participating. It's a trustworthy system as it's decentralized and resilient. The collective learning implementation is open source and comes with solid documentation. It is demonstrated at a TRL 6 level, and it also comes along open benchmark datasets. Collective learning can empower end users and communities by assisting a bottom-up behavioral change. It can also lower costs and increase revenues for system operators, utilities, and policymakers. There is a strong momentum at this moment for this, based on my UKRI Future Leader Fellowship that I started last year. To conclude, I would like to state that I'm looking forward to explore new opportunities for a sustainable future with collective learning, and I would like to thank you very much for this opportunity.
Evangelos, thank you very much to you for dedicating your time, your work, and I think and I feel also your passion to build this type of solution. Personally, I think the idea of collective learning and collective intelligence is great. And if we can put these agents, human agents and artificial intelligence agents, working on this towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals is great. So once again, we have a diversity and transparency. Thank you. We can move to another outstanding and wonderful project, which is Afrocentric Natural Language Processing. And so, Ife, do we have you here?
Yes.
Lovely. Ife, please show us the project.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everybody. So this is work done with my colleague, Dr. Rahim, and advisor, Professor Mohammed Abdul Makid. And this work focuses on developing technologies for indigenous languages of Africa, where what technologies to build and how to build, evaluate, and deploy them arise from the needs of local African communities and the unique linguistic features of these languages. Next slide, please. So this will enable different sustainable development goals, including good health and well-being, quality education, industry innovation and infrastructure, reduced inequality, and sustainable cities and communities, as well as peace and justice. Next slide, please. Specifically, we have developed different models, including AfroLead, which is an African language identification model. It's a neural LID toolkit, which is publicly available to aid the continued development of natural language processing models for African countries. And AfroLead is a multi-domain web data set manually curated from across 14 language families domiciled in 50 African countries across 5 orthographic systems. And when we apply AfroLead on a blind test set, we're able to achieve up to 96% F1 score. And we also compared it with other existing tools and report really great results as well. Next slide, please. In terms of business and ethics viability, we ensure that the quality of data that is used is really important. We use high quality data, which was manually curated to ensure that we are representing the languages correctly. We also cover 517 languages and language varieties across the African continent. And particularly out of 54 countries in Africa, we have languages from 50 countries represented. To the best of our knowledge, this is the highest number of African languages supported in any single tool, which is also publicly available. I think the work we're doing is groundbreaking and is really important, particularly now for Africa, where there's the need for continued education of the African people, particularly in the languages that they are most comfortable speaking and understanding. Thank you so much.
Ife, thank you so much to you. I think the work that you are pursuing is critical because we see that basically the major big trend in natural language processing is everything in English. Now, with the advent of the foundational models like ChatGPT and GPT-4, we have seen the impact of this in many other languages, but African language are not yet part of the party. So thanks to you, Ife, for pushing in this sense.
Thank you.
And I would like now to introduce another of the outstanding projects, which is Mbasa AI. And this is difficult to pronounce, so please forgive me if it's not correct. Jetseg, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Please take the floor.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me. My name is Jędrzej Świeżewski, and I'm the head of AI at Epsilon. I'll be presenting Mbasa AI, which is a computer vision-based solution for large-scale biodiversity monitoring. We will stay within the African context because our solution is primarily used in the rainforests of Central Africa. So these days, remote ecosystems, such as those rainforests, are often monitored with the use of camera traps. Camera traps are small devices which capture images of the bypassing wildlife. And the challenge in using them is that they collect vast amounts of images. And now national park rangers or ecologists studying or protecting the ecosystems need to classify those images in order to filter out empty images, identify the species of interest, and then only then they can infer about the ecology of what is going on in those ecosystems. In a typical scenario, processing a single batch of such images collected by a research group takes up to several weeks. What Mbasa offers is an automation of that process. It can process up to 3,000 images an hour, saving thousands of hours of manual labor. To date, Mbasa AI has processed more than 500,000 images, contributing to the protection of endangered species. Next slide, please. The three key differentiators of Mbasa are the high accuracy of the underlying machine learning models, the fact that Mbasa as an application can operate fully offline on the laptops of the currently available to the people who need to use this application, so the national park rangers or the ecologists. This is particularly useful in the remote areas, such as the rainforests, because internet access is often very scarce there. Lastly, Mbasa has already, if you can go back to the previous slide, Mbasa has already provided valuable insights, for example, in a study of the gorilla population in Gabon, and thus has contributed to the protection of this endangered species. If we now move to the last slide, I'd mentioned that Mbasa has already been used in Gabon, Cameroon, and Kenya, as well as it has been tested in Congo. Importantly, it has an intuitive UI, which makes it easy to use also by people without strict computer science background, which makes it particularly useful for example, the national park rangers. Mbasa is distributed completely free of charge and under an open source license, which means that everyone who is willing to contribute is invited and welcome to do so. While Mbasa has primarily been developed by Epsilon, the company I work for, it has been a joint effort with academics, governmental and non-governmental institutions, some of which you can see mentioned on this slide. I would like to conclude my presentation with a call to everyone interested in understanding more about Mbasa, contributing to its further development, or possibly broadening its impact by, for example, applying it to new areas. Please reach out to us and let's make this positive impact happen together. Thank you.
Thanks to you, Jacek. I'm sorry for my pronunciation. And once again, diversity, this time biodiversity, and a really smart solution to preserve biodiversity. And this is like a bridge, because the next outstanding solution is also quite related with the biodiversity, with a different approach, but again, an outstanding solution with an incredible smart approach. So I would like now to pass the floor to Pachama Originals. So I think Alicia, are you there?
Hello, this is Josh Parrish from Pachama.
Josh, please take the floor.
I've been called worse, so no worries. And so thank you, everyone. So Josh Parrish with Pachama. I'm coming to speak to you from the trees instead of from the ocean or space. And want to really tell you a little bit, who is Pachama, why forests, and then what we're doing. And so Pachama's mission is to protect and restore forests to solve the climate crisis. And we do that by enabling artificial intelligence tools to work in forests to measure essentially the current forest stocks, the change in forests over time, and provide essentially for the first time efficient, transparent, and really high quality forest data to landowners and to corporations and to jurisdictions, to basically give the tools for the smallholders across the world to really understand what they have, and then to manage their forests. I mean, we've seen a lot of this with indigenous communities and other things, and the fact that they, over millennia, have been managing their forests well. What we're really trying to do is harness artificial intelligence to help people and nature improve and grow and to regenerate. So next slide. So why forests? Well, forests are obviously, so just like oceans, forests are a critical ecosystem in the terrestrial space that we all need. Forests are part of the lungs of our planet. They offer climate, essentially stabilization and mitigation. They're part of the solution to solve the climate crisis, and by 2050 to keep essentially warming to limiting it to 1.5 degrees centigrade. Roughly a third of that solution is available through 2030. And unlike other solutions that are being developed today that we need in the future, forests are available now. We can save forests in places, and we can also restore and regenerate new forests. So what we're really excited about is we can do it today. And then getting to the biodiversity side, and certainly we need to chat after this. Forests are home to 80% of all of the world's terrestrial biodiversity, and particularly tropical forests are the most biodiverse, followed by temperate and other places. And 25% of the world's population rely on forests as a primary income. A huge amount of the water we need, the fresh water we need to survive, also comes from forests. They're also giant sponges that have part of our water cycle and climate systems. Next slide. So, how does Pachama, harness artificial intelligence and how do we do that? We go out, essentially use satellite imagery. We use high resolution LiDAR. We train our essentially machine learning models really to do three things. One is we want to use science and use working with local landowners to find the best places to work. So that's the first thing we do is where is the most critical place to essentially put those finite dollars to do reforestation, restoration, and conservation. So we answer that question. And then the next really critical thing is we monitor the progress, and we use that really to do forward-looking monitoring, to do the progress today, and then thinking about the future, because we need to really think about what's the climate going to look like in 10, 20, 30, 40 years, and then help that to influence essentially our management of those ecosystems. And then last but not least, and this ties into the carbon credit market, we really are there to bring trust, transparency, and efficiency to that space. That's really it's a space that a lot of places lacks that, and we really feel that, subject to everything I've already heard about here today about AI and open and transparent and all these things, that it can be a great driver of essentially like a global system and trust to really get this right and scale it. And I know my time is short, but I thank everyone here, and I look forward to following up with folks to talk about greater collaborations potentially.
Josh, thank you very much. I think that you touch upon critical elements like building trust and transparency in the green bond system, which is in a bad position after all the greenwashing. Even better, what you point at the end about collaboration. For us, for IRCAI, the Global Top 100 is also a step towards building an ecosystem of collaboration. And the collaboration could happen right now in between different projects, in between the participants, representatives, etc., etc. And we also think that collaboration, as well as transparency and diversity, is key element for achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Josh, thank you once again. And we now go to not the last, but the last outstanding project of this series, because later we're going to move to a particular block dedicated to the SDG number 6, dedicated to water. Before going there, I would like to introduce the project Nowcasting of Solar Electricity Production. And I think Keisha, if I am pronouncing properly.
Almost.
almost. Forgive me. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So my name is Kasia Krasucka, and I'm a program and partnerships manager at Open Climate Fix. And I'm going to be talking today about our AI-based solar energy generation forecast. Next slide, please. So to kick off, a few words about why solar forecasting matters for the SDGs. So as we're trying to decarbonize the energy sector while electricity demand is growing around the world, one of the ways to green the electricity grid is to integrate more solar energy. But this is challenging. And the main reason being is that solar energy is weather dependent, and this makes it difficult to predict exactly how much supply there will be in any given time. And this is where solar forecasting comes into play. So for network operators, better solar forecasts can help them to make better decisions to reduce backup energy supplies, which are normally generated from fossil fuels. And with the boom in rooftop solar, it can also help to optimize the energy use in individual households so that individuals can actually decide when is the right time to wash the dishes or do the laundry in an energy efficient way. And based on our estimates, better solar forecasts have the potential to help reduce CO2 emissions by 50 million tons per annum globally. Can we move to the next slide? Yes. Yes, thank you. So how do we do it? In this example, as the clouds are moving over the UK, you can see that how the clouds are actually having impact on the solar output. So these little dots are actually individual solar sites. But traditional solar forecasts don't make use of satellite data and normally use very simple statistical models. And this is where our innovation comes in. So we apply cutting-edge AI models from, for example, Google DeepMind, which were not used before in the energy space. And we use huge volumes of data, including terabytes of satellite data and real-time readings from thousands of PV systems. Using this approach have helped us to improve on the previous forecast by almost 3 times so far. And we're still working, obviously, on improving it further. Next slide, please. And last but not least, a few words about how we operate as a company. So we are a mission-focused nonprofit. And on top of that, similar to like a few different projects that were presented earlier, everything we build is open source. And two main reasons why we release our code openly is because we care about transparency and we want to encourage open collaboration at the global scale. So for example, we're currently looking into taking our solution to India. And we have an ambition that the researchers and engineers from around the world, both in developed and developing economies, can improve our code and integrate it into their solutions so that this ultimately improves solar forecasting capabilities around the globe. Thank you very much for your attention. And I encourage everyone to check out our GitHub. And since I'm last, congratulations to all the other projects. Keep up the good work, guys. Congrats from Open Climate Fix.
Thank you, Kasia. And I join you in the congratulations to all the projects, in particular to the outstanding projects. We have 9 outstanding projects. There is yet another one. And for me, this has been particularly intense. So I need a glass of water. And yeah, we're moving now to a particular section about water and how water can be so hyper important. And as Mrs. Mishkova mentioned, the ambassador at large from water in many sense for Slovenia, we are a little bit out of tracks in regards of the SDG 6. And IRCAI Global Top 100 has spotted this issue in particular because the SDG 6 is one of the underrepresented SDGs in the projects we receive. However, although it's underrepresented, it has very, very, very impactful projects that are supporting. Some of these projects are among the outstanding ones and the excellent ones. And we are going to talk about them. Next slide, please. We divided this section in 2 parts. The first part will be, we'll talk about 2 projects that propose a transversal contribution to all the SDGs, in particular to SDG 6. Then we will move to a specific part when we will be highlighting projects that specifically address the SDG number 6. Can we go to the previous slide, please? Talking about the transversal contribution to all SDGs is strongly related with finance. So these are ideas, humans, wonderful human beings with excellent ideas who were wondering about impact finance and SDG aligned investment portfolios. How can we move this in this direction? So, for example, wondering what is the impact of a company across all the 17 SDGs. An excellent project is going to, or is addressing this question, in fact. An outstanding project that is going to be the next one is wondering how to address the gaps in sustainability and impact performance data for investors building SDG-aligned portfolios in emerging markets. So these are the key 2 elements for the next 2 presentations. Next slide, please. And for the last 2, the specific for the SDG 6, 2 facts related to water. The first one, the fashion industry that use 93 billion cubic meters of water every year, enough to meet the water consumption and needs of 5 million people. On top of that, 20% of wastewater worldwide comes from fabric dyeing, and treatment related to the fashion industry. One of the solutions showcased by IRCAI today is addressing this issue. On the other side, something completely new, e-cigarette waste, which might be potentially more serious environmental threat than cigarette butts, since e-cigarettes introduce plastic, nicotine salts, heavy metals, lead, mercury, and so on into waterways. A promising project is working to reduce this negative impact. So I want to pass the floor now to a transversal project, an outstanding transversal project, which is contributing also to SDG 6. Malena, Machine Learning Environment, Social and Governance Analyst. Florian, I see you there. Please show us Malena.
Thank you, Jorge, and thank you also to the IRCAI committee for recognizing the Malena project on this year's top 100 list as an outstanding project. If we'll go to the next slide, please. Malena, or Machine Learning Environmental, Social and Governance Analyst, is an artificial intelligence platform developed by the International Finance Corporation to address a key challenge to meeting the SDGs, which is the gap in capacity to analyze sustainability data. This gap has been identified as a blocker to making sustainable long-term investments in emerging markets. And by using Malena to read and structure underused information, investors can now assess companies that previously went uncovered. This matters because the funding gap to meet the SDGs is about $2 to $3 trillion annually. And in contrast, there are almost $200 trillion invested in capital markets, which, if redirected, could play a crucial role in closing the SDG gap. And we believe Malena can help make this happen. Next slide, please. We started developing Malena in 2019 and have used in-house data combined with the expertise of our team of over 200 development impact experts to train specialized versions of AI applications to address the SDGs. We developed capabilities in sentiment analysis, named entity recognition, question answering, and machine translation, all of which fine-tuned to sustainability context and the unique circumstances of developing countries. We fully understand the critical importance of trustworthy AI and the need for technologies like the ones Malena is based on to be adopted in an inclusive and equitable way. And to ensure this, we are developing a data and model governance framework covering aspects like performance, fairness, and explainability to increase transparency, trust, and confidence in Malena. Next slide, please. Malena is all about scale. At the press of a button, users can unlock curated information from many lengthy documents, such as annual reports, news articles, impact assessments, running into thousands of pages. Disregard the non-essential information and really focus on what matters. After analyzing documents, Malena structures the findings and generates dashboards on sustainability performance. This assists you with making fully informed decisions and, most importantly, with identifying investment opportunities of relevance to the SDGs, such as in this example, where Malena has identified the measures this company has taken to improve water quality and increase water efficiency of significance to SDG 6, and specifically meeting targets 6.3 and 6.4. We're now racing to release Malena externally this summer and are very grateful for the support of IRCAI and helping us bring this solution to the attention of the world to support the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Thank you.
Florian, thanks to you. Thanks for working on building the missing pieces to improve the way we assess ESG and SDG related financial issues. I can't prevent myself of saying that I see so many ways of collaboration until this point. When after watching all the presentations, and obviously after read all your proposals, I see so many ways of collaboration. So let's build together this environment. And to go in that direction, I would like also to invite an excellent solution, also transversal solution, which in particular contribute to SDG 6, util sustainability analytics. And Patrick, I see you. Are you there?
I am. Thank you. Thank you,
Patrick,
Jorge.
my pleasure. Take the floor, please.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. If you could move immediately to the next slide, I'll get going right away. But before I start, thank you for having me. I'm thrilled to be participating in today's event. It's such a great pleasure to see all of these projects, and congratulations to everybody. Like you, I see a lot of ways of collaborating, so I'm really thrilled to be here. Our focus at UTIL, as you may have gathered, obviously is in sustainability. What we do is we measure the impacts of companies' products and services for investors, so that those investors can better understand and act upon the impacts of their money. But there are more than $110 trillion in global assets under management. So in order to do this at scale in a way that produces data that investors can truly trust, we use machine learning on an evidence base of over 120 million peer-reviewed academic publications. Our SDG-focused output covers about 50,000 publicly traded companies, over 6,000 funds. We measure the positive and negative impacts on all of the SDGs. So that's the sort of transversal component from the products and services that companies are selling. All in all, it's actually over 1,000 data points per company. And you can multiply that out by the almost 50,000 companies we cover. So for today's presentation, and in consideration of the focus of today's meeting, I chose to focus on SDG 6 to illustrate how our data can support water diplomacy particularly. And there are lots and lots of ways to do this, given that there are close to 50 million data points to work from. But what you see here on the right-hand side is a representation of all of the SDGs in a circle. So you see them all there, all 17 around the edges. I selected companies with positive contributions to SDG 6, which you can see on that chart, based on what they sell. And you can see the positives in green and the negatives in red. Now, for a more specific look at the research, if you could move to the next slide, Jorge, that would be great. The key insights that I pulled out of this that are quite interesting, the headline is actually very simple. We can make progress. We are definitely behind, as we've already really talked about in today's meeting. As we move towards the 2030 goals, we can make progress because there are positives here on this graph. But first, we have to stop going backwards. And what I mean by that is by looking at SDG 6, we found that there were 5,621 companies globally with positive impact. So that means the products that they sell have a positive impact on SDG 6, but there are almost 14,000 with negative impacts. So any positives will really struggle to make a difference unless we address the negatives. The other thing that is really critical, and this is again why it's important to consider when we look at one SDG, how these SDGs interact with one another. On this circular chart, as you can see, there are other significant impacts to manage. And most clearly, what you see are negative impacts on SDGs 13, 14, and 15. So as the phrase goes, there's no such thing as a free lunch. And whatever progress we make on SDG 6 has to be set in the context of whether it comes at the expense of something else. And so that's another really important element to manage. And then on the plus side, there are some significant additional positive impacts. So to end on a good note, particularly SDG 3, there's a big positive there, economic growth in SDG 8, and obviously industry, innovation, and infrastructure in SDG 9. And so that means that while we have these impacts to manage, we can also make a lot of progress in more than one area at a time. So that's a really big plus. Jorge, if you could move to the last slide, I'll just say a few words about our business and about our ethics viability. Our current clients are all asset managers, so we work primarily on their investments. They meet their own customers' needs for investments that align with their values. And there's a huge demand in the market. So we generate revenue. Some of our clients are listed there at the bottom of the page. And what we see is this demand for sustainable investment, but a real aversion to greenwashing. And we specifically designed our technology and our use of AI around making sure that the data that we provide is grounded in evidence. And that serves to meet the demand both for that values alignment as well as combating greenwashing. And that leads me to my last comment, as you'll see on the right-hand side here, on the ethical side of our technology, which was that for us as a company, however advanced our tech might be, there was just no point in basing it on evidence if no one could actually see it. So we use AI in a way that we like to think of as more of a glass box than a black box, so that for any data point that our clients use, we can always surface the rationale that produced it all the way through to the individual sentences that our models process that ultimately feed into that data at the end. So just to wrap up, I would say that we know the challenge that's in front of us, but I do feel that even just from this meeting, I have a huge amount of hope that collectively we have both the perseverance, the will, and obviously the technologies to help us get where we want to go. Thank you very much. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have now or over email later on.
Patrick, thank you very much to you. And,
my pleasure.
There is already an incredible positive impact for impact finance from Malena and Util. Both so incredible tools, and in looking or to act in such a critical space. So thanks to both Malena and Util. And now we move to two projects that they are more focused on SDG number 6. The first one is a smart text AI-based inspection system, maybe for the textile industry. And Katarina?
That's correct.
That's correct. Great. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Katarina, and I'm here today representing SmartX AI. Next slide, please. All right. This is our stellar founding team on the left, plus me on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side, you can see our CEO. His family always worked in textiles, and he used to be a textile inspector himself during the summers in his teenage years. So that's how our story started. Since then, we have raised over $27 million and have spent over 20 million in R&D with over 1,000 systems sold in over 12 countries. Next slide, please. SmartX is building the tools for the modern textile factory by using artificial intelligence, machine learning, and computer vision to improve textile manufacturing with a strong focus on sustainability and quality. This is our core system, and this is the hardware that it includes. Next slide, please. So far, we have only created a fraction of the impact we know our technology can have on the enormous global textile industry. Still, the impact is already real. Over 3.7 million t-shirts were saved from being wasted, along with tons of CO2 emissions prevented. All of this plus energy and water savings. Next slide. SmartX inspection systems contributes to several SDGs, including Goal 6, by reducing defects in the textile industry, which uses 20% of the world's available clean water. It reduces water consumption in processing defective materials that later on go to waste. Goal 8, AI can complement operators who spend the entire day in inspection machines looking for defects, which is an exhausting and repetitive and also non-effective task. Goal 9, SmartX AI and machine vision technology contributes to traditional industry being a great example of an innovation for again, a traditional industry. Goal 12, our system reduces the production of defective materials, which with a proactive approach rather than a reactive approach, which can reduce raw material consumption and fabric waste. SmartX's system can reduce defect rate from 5% to close to 0% with huge economic and environmental benefits. One system in one single circular machine can save monthly over 900 euros, over 100 kilograms of raw material, 21,000 liters of water, over 1,000 kilowatt hour and over 200 kilograms of CO2 emissions. Again, only for one circular kneading machine. And this totals also an addressable market of 300,000 kneading machines in the entire world. Systems like this can facilitate the adoption of AI in textile production, making this industry much more efficient. And for the next slide, I want to thank you for your time and enjoy the event today. If you have any questions, please reach out.
Katerina, thank you. Thank you very much for showing SmartX. SmartX is part of the excellent project. I think, again, to put this on the table, you aim a solution for the textile and fashion industry. And it happens that the textile and fashion industry are one of the biggest producers of GHG emissions and one of the bigger, maybe the biggest polluter of water polluter. So you are clearly going in the direction of SDG 6. Finally, the last project we want to showcase is a promising project that also goes in the direction of SDG 6, which is a collection of disposable e-cigarettes and batteries to help into the recycling process. So Vismant, please show,
thank you.
Discuss your solution with us.
So, thank you for the floor. Hello, everyone. My name is Vismant. I'm CEO and co-founder of Bingo Deposit, a tech company to help collect more hazardous waste to recycle. Next, please. I will start with an issue because maybe a lot of consumers and people look on the disposable waste and batteries from different angle. They look actually sweet and sexy, shiny piece of metal or plastics. But the real life is that those are hazardous waste. And to produce, in the world being sold 2.5 billion vapes every year globally. And we calculate that it's a lot of lithium being used into consumer type of products, while the world needs this lithium also for electric vehicles, grids to meet net zero. And if you're talking particularly water, just to produce lithium batteries, we need 71 billion liters every year just for this consumer type of product. If you're but there is another problem. 90% of disposables aren't collected back properly. Then there is a question, where 2.2 billion of vapes ends their life? Forests, rivers, ocean, landfills, in the best case scenario. Next, please. So what we did, where the AI comes in, we built from the scratch reverse vending machine that is able to collect and recognize batteries, disposables, not only by the type, but also by brand. The question potentially could be, why do we need such a fancy system to collect such type of waste? Next slide, please. It's because of our business model. And we found out that not only corporates, but also consumers moves if there's a personal interest for them. We are rewarding collectors based on what kind of type or brand vape they've been collected, or what kind of brand battery they've been brought and back collected. So actually what we are bringing traceability from brand level to personal consumer type of level. But one thing is collection. We have built an ecosystem with tech companies like car sharing companies, technology companies that are rewarding collectors with free rides, free coffees, free food. So consumers are collecting batteries and being rewarded. But where's the business? Why corporates? Why do we need recognized by brands? We are after that sorting and we are taking out these lithium-ion batteries and we are selling back to producers and they are reusing it again. So what actually we are doing, we are eliminating the need to dig out raw materials that could be needed for other industries we are eliminating pollution of the water, because I don't believe in Chile or all the other countries where they're getting this raw material, they're doing great sanitation. And also we are collecting back more of these hazardous waste, not to end up their life into the environment. So we are doing even better. We are not incentivizing even recycling. We are incentivizing reusing by making money to all of the ecosystem, because producers, they're saving money on production, even if they're paying us per unit. Consumers are getting paid. And what we have seen by data, one of our RVMs in city center of Riga collects a little bit more than 50 stores totally with carton boxes, what you have seen in your country. So we are talking about changing the behavior pattern, and we proved it works. Yeah, so thank you for your attention. I guess there is a lot of questions, but again, AI technologies, digitization can help us to save valuable materials, minerals, and in the end also the water, what is actually essential and in the middle of all of our ecosystem. Thank you.
Wismant, thanks to you a lot for your presentation. And just to wrap up, we are right on time. It's been intense. And I have many questions. We have some questions from the Q&A chat. So maybe just extend 1 or 2 minutes to give the chance to the questions. I see one question here that I think there are 4 projects that could answer this question. Util, Malena, Pachama, and also climate finance accounting via artificial intelligence. And the question from Patricio Torrealba is the following: to the projects in general, in particular to these 4 projects, I think, what in your view are the most valid global indices for tracking corporate behavior on ESG issues today, and what are their limitations? Continue. How can new approaches associated with artificial intelligence overcome these limitations, and how can they find validity among global investors? So from Pachama, from Malena, from climate finance accounting via artificial intelligence, Anna, or even from Util, would you like to, any one of you, Pauls, would like to answer this couple of questions?
I'm very happy to go first. If no one else is jumping in, I'll be very quick. But there are a couple of things actually, and this is one of the use cases that we see among our clients, which is why I wanted to jump in, because we've had some direct experience with it. First of all, existing ESG indices are actually, they're quite widely recognized as not going far enough. So that's among our clients. It's actually true because one of the major index providers downgraded the ratings for a lot of their ESG indices from a AAA ESG rating and make them lower, so that there's a real sense that the standard is higher, and obviously as that standard is now higher, the bar is more difficult to meet, so that providers are actually recognizing that already. I think the limitations really are that the investors themselves want much more flexibility. ESG as 3 letters just doesn't cover the range of things that they care about, and it doesn't balance them in the ways that they might care about. So they may care more about one issue than another. We focused on SDG 6 today, but another, an investor might care about SDG 13 more. So there's those sorts of things that we need to be able to do. And I think really AI is enormously helpful in processing data in a way that's transparent and reliable and trustworthy, so that investors can actually start to make those choices for themselves and do something that fits their needs much more closely. I think that parallels the use of technology we see in a lot of other industries, which is the ability to do things at scale, makes things cheaper to do, and it makes kind of customizability much more accessible. I think that's the direction we'll be heading. But anyway, that's my first 2 cents worth, but I'd love to hear from the other panelists.
Great insights, Patrick. Anna, Josh, Florian, would you like to add something else to this question?
I can.
Oh, go ahead, Anna. Anna, you first.
Okay, very shortly. I completely agree with what's been said before. I think one important thing that I keep telling is, in the end, it's just important that we don't lose what goal we actually want to achieve, right? And it's not about basically cherry picking which one fits best, or like which SDG indicator do you want to show, and so on. But in the end, it's about, do we actually achieve the impact we need on the ground in a project, whatever, and the data that we use should reflect this and be able to reflect this. And my feeling is sometimes we tend to be too enthusiastic about what we can measure now, but what is really important is that we keep the whole picture in the ground, that we have the data now, but in the end we have to really get the things done. Just to add on what you said before, Patrick. No.
I like the idea of get the things done. Josh, you were about to say something too.
Sure, yeah, agreed with the first two great folks and what they had to say. But I mean, I think from my perspective, really, from a corporate, they can't manage what they can't effectively measure. And I think there's this shift, from a qualitative approach. We see it even in the carbon credit markets, where lots of pictures, glossy things, we're doing great things, this looks wonderful, but like really trying to harness AI and better systems design with local communities and everything else in a way that brings quantitative measurement and reporting into these systems. And I think that has to kind of come into full force for us to effectively, let's assume that the goals are right. That's what we need for a global, to land and to be sustainable. If they're right, we need to have effective ways to measure in order, it's classic management theory, in order to actually manage and actually land where we need to land.
Thank you, George. Florian, would you like to add something else?
There's really not much I can add after the three great responses from before, but I would just like to second what Patrick said. And it's great to see that UTIL emphasizes transparency as much as we do. I think we've really seen a huge push in the last few years, where ESG ratings, ESG scores, ESG indices started with just a top-level score or just a top-level sort of assessment. And we heard, and I think UTIL heard, and everybody in the space heard, that that's not enough. That it's not enough for all the investors and all the players in the market. Not one size fits all, and we need more transparency into where those scores come from, especially as we adopt more and more technology and AI to compile those scores and to compile that information. So I think while there's a huge potential here, we have to continue to be transparent. We have to continue to educate users of the data that we provide and of the insights that we provide to understand what went into those. And it's great to see that everybody on this event today is thinking about that, and it's I'm very hopeful for that to continue.
Thank you very much, Florian. Thanks again to Patrick, Josh, Anna, and thanks to Patricio for the question. I would like to keep with the question and with the discussion, but I don't know if we can. So, Davor, please, can we jump into another question, or we have to close?
I think probably we don't have enough time to jump to other questions, but what do you think, Mihaela? Do we have any more space for anything? Should we do something?
We are already over time, but we have, let's say we have 6 minutes to make it a nice half an hour over time. So I think that's enough space for one more question and then a conclusion.
Let's. Well, so in that case, this gives us time for a second question. For Josh, and the question from Atta Nilsson, Kashinjumba. How can we get the deforestation data? Do Pachama provide forestation data globally? This question is also pointing, let me add something here, to the idea of building database that could serve to monitor the progress towards the SDGs. So I take it from there. I leave it there. Sorry, Josh. This question seems to be addressed to you.
Oh, a direct question. Well, thank you.
A direct question. Yes.
All right. So there are groups, in both international groups, international NGOs like World Resource Institute and others that have built and continue to build deforestation databases. We use those resources. We use other satellite and other imagery available, even private imagery, to build our algorithms and our accounting systems. And what my hope is, from a global perspective, we all land on a central kind of system for this is truth, for deforestation, for carbon stocks and other things, and then all of us that are working in this space for other SDGs, for other reasons, can kind of pull from a central area that we all agree upon and understand that the benefits and the limitations of the data and what's there in a transparent way. We use it. So right now, Pachama does not have a public interface for what we're building in our technology, but we are committed to working with academics, government, across the board to bring that transparency. And what we really feel, to do this right in that scale, we need lots more lots more of everything, quite frankly. So we need a central kind of this is truth for forests and forest stocks, and kind of to measure off of for all of us. So we're not all trying to justify our base, essentially what we're using.
Thank you, Josh. And well, we have only a little bit more than 2 minutes left. I think we can wrap up. And I would like to push again in the idea I put on the table before the question to you, Josh. Again, this idea of building this environment to share knowledge and willing to contribute to the SDGs by using artificial intelligence, where academics, researchers, startups, investors can get together. This opened the discussion to the concept of data sharing and the concept of how can we, or how the solutions maybe that you are building also consider this part of building data sets that could contribute to measuring the progress towards the SDGs. This was a key part of one of the answer to the previous questions, that to make proper management, we need to have proper measures. To finalize, I just want to share once again how inspiring this was for me, especially in a particular moment where the so-called foundational models like GPT-4 and ChatGPT-3 and ChatGPT, sorry, are revolutionizing the world. But at the same time, there are remarkable people and companies and institutions that are asking for a moratorium on this type of artificial intelligence, so we can understand better the impacts of this. And in this wave we are now seeing and feeling almost like being part of all these projects that you have presented is giving me hope and is quite inspiring. So I would like to thank to all of you once again and congratulate all of you for the work that you are doing. Davor, Mihaela, the floor is yours.
Well, I have no big words to finish this off. I mean, it's just fantastic and phenomenal. From my side, I think we're gonna, contact everyone, and we've got a set list of things that we want to do with you, specifically the sort of like outstanding projects and also the other ones. Maybe just one hint that in the next 2 weeks we'll be releasing also our yearly award, which is designed for researchers. So if the top 100 was designed for legal entities, then that one is designed for literally for people. And I would just like to thank you everyone for coming in, the Slovenian ministries, all of the teams on that side, everyone at IRCAI. Special thanks to Benjamin and special thanks to Massimo. And maybe just John, if you want to have like a final word, and then I think I personally am in Cape Town, so I'll go off for a very nice glass of wine after this. Thank you very much from my side.
Thanks, Sava, and thanks to all the team and to all of the participants. It's deeply humbling to hear how impressive and exciting these projects are, and to, you know, if IRCAI can play a role in getting the word out about your projects and putting you in touch with people who can help you realize further development of your projects or connections with other projects, we're here to help. If there's anything we can do, please, or you think that we may be able to do, please reach out to us. And we will also be reaching out, as Dava has said, to see if we can engineer some more communication and collaboration. But I think, you know, this has been a very, very enjoyable afternoon, and I really thank you all from the bottom of my heart for your contributions.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Stay safe.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Cheers.